Hi there. So my name is Michelle Caron and I own a business called Harmony Way in Western Mass. And I just wanted to point out a little invasive plant that you're looking at growing right out of a dead stump here, a piece of a log. This little red plant growing out of it does not always appear as red like this, but it's called Japanese knotweed and it's an invasive here in North America. Japanese knotweed is actually wonderful as a food when it's this size or a little bit bigger than this. The shoots, which sometimes the shoots come up a greenish color or a whitish color. I think it depends on many different factors, but this is definitely knotweed. We had a patch of it over here that we already got rid of, and it will take over everything if you allow it to. You can see some various other little plants in the area here, but the knotweed is what we're going to focus on right now. So Japanese knotweed will take over an area. It particularly likes to grow where there is moisture, and the roots of this plant are medicinal in that they can be tinctured and used as a remedy for arthritis and some of the complications that can come with Lyme disease and its co-infections. And like I said, the actual bud of it, like this one, it's just a little shoot, is quite tasty, supposedly tastes like asparagus. I've not been able to harvest it from a safe harvesting area, but normally we're very cautious when we are going to be harvesting a plant and foraging for it. We want to be very mindful about how we do that. In the case of invasive plants that do not belong here, that are taking over and crowding out our native species, you don't have to hold back with foraging those. But I won't go over the rules of foraging here. You can find them online and in many books, and I might go over them again another time in another video, but you want to make sure always that it's a safe place that you're harvesting from, that hasn't been treated with anything, and a variety of other factors. But just so you know, if you see this plant, it's an invasive. This, I'll get a little closer. So Japanese knotweed. And then if we look up, this, looking way up, and at the branches that now have leaf buds coming out, this is black birch, and black birch is a medicinal plant that's been used for pain management for probably thousands of years. And the bark of this plant is very medicinal, as are some of the other parts of the plant. So this is just a quick little update. I'm going to take you around to show you just how much more has grown in the yard. So you can see there's a lot of dandelions, and there are violets. You'll see in just a moment. Violets growing all over. This is the time of year, if you're gonna harvest violets, you can harvest the leaves at any time, but the flowers come out at this time. Look at all of them. And I believe that the kind that these are, because again, they're not very fragrant, as I said in my previous video, that these are Viola sororia, not Viola odorata. They don't have that heady fragrance that some violets that grow elsewhere have. These ones are pretty minor, if any fragrance at all in their aroma. I'm going to bring you here. This is a cherry tree. Cherry trees are quite medicinal, and of course we eat the fruit. And here is one little flower on that cherry tree. This one over here is a little smaller, doesn't have any flowers yet. I'm going to show you more of the violets. They're just everywhere, everywhere, like a carpet of violets. Coming over here, there are more violets. Look at them all. And what I wanted to show you was the apple tree that I talked about in my last video, both of my apple trees. Look at all the flowers, the buds. So these were trimmed just before the growing season began, and you can see how tall this plant is getting. And this may very well, if these buds do get to blossom into flowers and they're pollinated and they stay on the plant, and we have a good season that's not too windy, you can see the apple tree behind it. It also has flowers on it. We may very well end up having a whole bunch of apples off of these trees. These trees are about 4 years old, and it can take 4 to 5 years for them to actually develop fruit, and you have to trim them usually before they'll do that. Here's the progression since the last video from last week. Look at the Rosa rugosa. And there's a lot. I have hazel. I'll bring you past more violets. Here we go. More violets. And here we have a hazel bush. That's a little toad house underneath it. That little mug that you see is actually a toad house. Here we have, I wonder if you can guess, strawberries popping up, and they're already getting little flowers. So we have a little patch that we planted of strawberries. And this hazel is starting to bud as well. And the hazel behind it is as well. So a lot of plants. We have high bush cranberry over here in the orchard as well, and low bush blueberries in the garden. There's just a lot going on right now. Spring has definitely sprung here at Harmony Way. And look at all these little plants over here. It would take a long time to name all of them, so I'll spare you that, but you can just have a look. I'll just pan. Look at all the green and the flowers. How pretty that is. Just little cute flowers, and there's the Rosa canina, the dog roses over there. Also doing really, really well, growing really strongly. And so I'm going to end this now, but I thought you'd want an update to see just how many different beautiful little flowers there are all around at this point, and how many things are starting to go into bloom, because it's May now, which is really the beginning of a really strong growing season here, typically in Massachusetts in Zone 5B. So thanks for joining me on this brief little plant walk, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care and be well.